We have this tweet from David Marcus. He says, I am crossing the Rubicon and backing the Republican Party and President Trump. Many, including a former version of myself, get trapped in a mental framework that becomes their identity and prevents them from radically evolving their thinking with new facts and information. I finally broke free from it. My journey has been gradual political 180 from where I stood in every previous election. It has been an eye-opening process of disenchantment, zero-basing lifelong beliefs, and rebuilding it from there. I'll pause real quick before I read more. David Marcus, CEO and co-founder Lightspark, open payments on Lightning, ran payments in crypto at Messenger and Meta, led PayPal, built 3 startups. So this is a Facebook PayPal guy saying he's changed his mind. He's going Donald Trump. He says, in 2017, a good friend enlisted me to pitch the DNC to raise $100 million from Silicon Valley founders and executives. The aim was to use these funds and know-how to build a CRM and tech platform to prevent a repeat of Hillary Clinton's inadequate, outdated 2016 campaign. We met with DNC leadership who told us we could raise that money, but it would have to go to the general fund. A single-digit percentage would then be allocated to tech in the wake of one of the most shocking failures. They didn't want the help. The next series of realizations began in 2019 when I was at Meta. Right after we announced the Libra white paper, I testified before the Senate and the House and subsequently spent significant time in D.C. engaging with lawmakers, cabinet members. At the time, I still believed the mainstream idea that Democrats were all about serving the people. However, I was shocked to learn that, for the most part, Republicans cared more deeply about their constituents, while Democrats, in my experience, cared more about government power and control. This is my observation on balance, with many stories to back it up. I also found that more Republicans wanted to understand our project's goals and took the time to learn about the risks of censoring payments and controlling the network. I found myself remarkably aligned with them. Then COVID came. I'm going to skip over. I don't want to read his entire, it looks like maybe 1,000 words. He says, some claim that re-electing President Trump will bring our democracy to its knees. However, the alternative, having unelected individuals with this much power and no accountability run our government, coupled with 4 more years of bad policies at home and abroad, might present a more significant threat. Neither will likely change in a Harris administration and could potentially worsen. In this pivotal moment, confronted with the choices we have, I am endorsing and supporting a return to a Republican administration in 2025. Silicon Valley, my friends, and we've seen it with Elon Musk, is going MAGA.
I think it's really interesting what he says, zero-basing lifelong beliefs, the eye-opening process of disenchantment, zero-basing lifelong beliefs, and rebuilding from there. Because I think that a lot of times what happens is people are not open-minded about what they believe. And it's so important to always know what you believe and why you believe it, and to interrogate the foundations of your beliefs so that you know at all times what it is that you think and why you think it. And that way you are ruling your ideas as opposed to being ruled by them.
Yeah, I think people often are critical of how they came to the conclusions. And this is like any political or religious or whatever belief, they sort of just roll with it, or they take bad information and then build their lives around it without really thinking about why. Mm-hmm. And, Silicon Valley is so fascinating because I think for whatever reason, maybe just because it's in California, so many people just kind of assumed it was left. It had to be, a Democratic stronghold when, really it's a center for entrepreneurial spirit and energy. They probably have a lot of contact with the federal government that's very unpleasant. And, a lot of our trade policies, a lot of our, national security issues really impacted that industry in particularly. And so it's interesting to have someone come out and say, like, I was sort of default this way and I had to reevaluate why. And I think probably a lot of people do that all the time in their lives, but definitely during the last 10 years.
Well, what does this mean for us? When Silicon Valley begins to flip, Mark Zuckerberg said Trump looked badass. Mm-hmm. We know that Facebook censored that image. But are we going to see perhaps closer to the election, Silicon Valley realigning behind Trump for a variety of reasons? For one, if they do believe Trump is going to win, they're going to hedge their bets. And they're going to go to Donald Trump and they're going to go to his allies and say, do not destroy our company. When you win, what do you want? And so basically these people just start pouring in and lining up behind Trump for that reason.
Yeah, and I think that's something that the right has suffered from is a lack of tech. They don't really have a lot of exposure. And maybe that's another reason that they see, well, this is an opportunity for us to actually, he's talking in there about building this CRM tech platform for Hillary's campaign and how it was outdated. I think the Republicans suffer from that much more. And so as a business opportunity, there's probably more money to be made from them approaching the right and saying, look, you guys are way out of date. Your email lists suck. You don't have.
You need us.
Yeah, you need us as much as maybe we think we need you to pass the right kind of policy. So we can make some money on this by reinventing you a new platform to be able to reach your potential voters. And at the same time, they see the political winds shifting. So maybe it's going to work out better for them to switch. I'm not sure that that'll happen on the grander scale.
It's a cascade effect. Mm-hmm. They feel Trump's going to win. The polling favors him, so they start lining up behind him, which gives him the groundswell, gives him the tech advantage, and then Trump wins.
Because they want the influence as well, and they've been donating to him. They had that big fundraiser in June. It was like Biden had the LA Hollywood fundraiser, but Trump had the Silicon Valley tech fundraiser. I would rather have the tech fundraiser also because Hollywood turned on him so fast. Mm-hmm. Like, those are some fair weather friends.
Yep. Should be interesting, but I think the bigger question ultimately is just we don't even know who the Democrat nominee is. Mm-hmm. And we are 97 days out from the election, so...
But that should all come together, like, basically next week, right? Isn't the Ohio deadline August 7th? I mean, they're supposed to have
this virtual roll call.
Yeah, when's that supposed to be?
That's supposed to be pretty soon. And they keep saying that, this was planned since May. But I think that whole thing is pretty fake because what they want to avoid is some kind of floor fight.
Yeah, and if it was planned since May, give me the specific date. They've been shifting around.
It was planned.
Don't say this range.
It was planned because we covered the story.
Thing, yeah.
Right, because Biden wasn't going to be on the ballot in Ohio because of it. But I think it was pre-planned before that. They knew Biden was going to drop out. We had been discussing this almost a year ago.
They were going to force him out.
Right.
Well, I mean,
I think they always floated the idea of having it. I think it's always something they thought about. But I don't think the DNC is as organized and strategic as they're not moving as one unit right now. And I think there's a lot of internal fighting.
They're trying.
This is why they chose to have a debate.
Messaging. Yeah.
Biden didn't need to debate Trump. He didn't debate before. He hid in his basement. Mm-hmm. They had a couple of debates back in 2020, but he didn't need to debate him. It was intentional so that they could create a public pressure and get popular support among Democrat voters so that Biden would be removed. Mm-hmm. But the reason they did it was because they didn't want RFK Jr. to win the nomination. And he would have.
Yeah, he would have.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the one who should really be pissed about this.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Well, that's what they do. I mean, they did it to Bernie Sanders previously. And
could he not, is it too late for him to try and run on the Democrat ticket? He's running as an independent. He's already got the signatures. He's saying he's going to stay as an independent.
Well, I guess it would be too late if they do the virtual roll call. Otherwise, he could drum up support and have a floor fight. You
know, you should do. If I was RFK Jr. I mean, I guess the issue really just is if it's like RFK Jr. doesn't like Trump, fine. But if it were me, I would seek the Democratic nomination on the floor, win it, and then a month out resign and endorse Trump.
Oh boy.
You think that RFK?
I mean, they tried to whack Trump. I think they already whacked one candidate. I think they'd probably.
Well, that's why you need Secret Service protections. But RFK Jr. had that phone call with Trump where Trump asked him to endorse him, and then that wasn't supposed to be released. I guess RFK Jr.'s kid released it, and then they deleted it right away. I would not be surprised if in October RFK Jr. announces he's endorsing Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Because if RFK Jr. goes to the Democrats and says, I want to reel in these corporations that are putting environmental toxins in our food and our medicines, et cetera, they're going to say, screw off. We know who butters our bread. If he goes to Trump and says Trump's going to be like, okay, deal. I want to win.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out. And RFK Jr. is going to be like, let's roll. You know what really is crazy to me? The paths to victory for Trump, even in 2020, because this is what I said. If Trump appointed Tulsi Gabbard to National Security Advisor in the last year of his term, and then asked Andrew Yang to be an economic advisor, he would have gotten such tremendous support from independents, post-liberals, and even many Democrats, and a lot of conservatives too. But he didn't want to do it. He wanted to play the traditional route. I mean, he picked Pence. He really thought he was playing ball. He thought he was going in, he was going to play ball with the machine, but he was president, he gets a say, and the intelligence agencies told him, no, we're going to tell you what to do, and he said, no, thank you, I have promises to keep, and then so they accused him of being a spy working for Russia.
Let's say he gets elected. Do you think that's what he'll do this time? Do you think he'll
no
make more
it'll be better
aggressive cabinet picks?
Yes, more aggressive, but far from what we hope.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a lot of right-leaning libertarian types who are hoping he's going to go and schedule left, just fire all these people, and he'll fire some. It'll be a slow process. we'll get the news will trickle out over a couple of years of like various people being fired, and you mostly won't hear much, but a good amount of people probably get fired from these bureaucratic positions, and it's not going to be crazy. There's not going to be military tribunals. There's not going to be Insurrection Act. It's going to be, we already saw what a Trump term looks like. This one will be slightly better. He's not going to try and play ball early on, but we saw what Trump did after he fired Bolton and stopped playing ball with these people. It was still just a marginally good presidency with peace agreements, timelines for withdrawal from foreign countries. The economy was doing pretty well until COVID. And that's it. That's it. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.